Welcome to AB Talks, and today we're here at the Arabian Travel Market at the Dubai World Trade Center, and I'm delighted to be joined by Mark Kirby, Head of Hospitality with the Emaar Hospitality Group. Mark, welcome to AB Talks.
It's really nice to have you. I appreciate you talking to me today.
Now, I'm interested, how does it feel to be at an event live again promoting tourism? What kind of optimism does this give you?
It's very exciting. I think it's very forward-thinking. This is our third year actually being the partner, as a hotel partner for the Arabian Travel Market. So for us to be here in a year where we're starting to just push the boundaries a little bit more is very exciting. And I think it's great that we're able to sit face to face, albeit with the correct restrictions in place and regulations, just to make sure that we keep each other safe throughout this. So incredibly important. I think that over the last 12 months that we have done quite a lot in Emaar Hospitality, and we can talk about that as we move forward. But certainly, with new openings and really learning throughout 2020, I think that there's a lot to tell the buyers that come today. So to see some of the old faces, to see new faces, to be back in the World Trade Center is extremely exciting for us and very important. And we've worked very closely with the partnership, with obviously the DCCM, with the government over the last 12 months, and now very much for the Arabian Travel Market, working together with the partners here to make sure that we execute a really great show.
You talked there briefly about new openings. You recently were quoted saying you were going to set the industry alight with your new openings. Do you want to give our audience just a little overview of what you've got planned?
Yeah. Well, I think, if you think over the last 12 months, we've opened 3 beach resorts. I don't know many hotel companies that have opened up brand new hotels throughout that time. So there's certainly the interest for new hotels to open. We've got the Address Beach, which is our most recent opening in obviously the Jumeirah stretch. That has been phenomenal since it opened back in December.
This is the one with the incredible infinity pool.
Yeah, this is a pool on the level 77. So, you can't get a much more exciting hotel and entity than that. So that has done really, really well. And that's really supported us in our growth from a brand perspective. The CIS market, Russia, has done extremely well in that hotel. So we were very proud to have that open. We opened up our mid-market branded hotel, Rove La Mer, which was the first beach resort for the Rove brand as well. And that's been doing extremely well, not only from a long stay perspective, as markets closed out and people stayed in Dubai, people found that the Rove brand was extremely good value, but a great hotel to be able to stay longer in. So we saw more long stay business there. And then most recently is in a new emirate outside Dubai, we've opened up our Vida in Emaar Hospitality, which is really a stunning resort. It's a beautiful Vida. It's our first 5-star Vida hotel. So for us, I think it's we've had really exciting opportunities over the last 12 months. And then moving forward, we've got about 5 openings coming up this year, about 7 into next year. We're very excited about the Address Fujairah Beach Resort opening up in Q2. We're going further afield to Bahrain with the Vida in Bahrain, and then an Address at the end of the year in the same destination. We've got the Address in Istanbul opening up in Q3. So really some very iconic branded properties opening up in UK destinations. So there's a lot of things happening.
There's some that might say that that's all ambitious, given the fact that coronavirus isn't over yet. Yeah. What's fueling the confidence for all of these openings?
Our brands have always been very much loved by the GCC overall. Our source markets were predominantly GCC and Europe. GCC has continued to stay very strong, albeit without the KSA component initially. But as of obviously today, KSA opens up, and we've got substantial numbers on our books for the rest of the month, which I think a lot of hotel companies will have seen that. So that's reassuring. That's fueling a little bit more confidence. Our staycation market, Q1, has been extremely strong for us. GCC was about 44% of our business. About 30% of that was from the UAE. So, from the fact that our brands are much loved, and we work together with our Emaar ecosystem in terms of things like the Dubai Mall, the Burj Khalifa, the Dubai Fountains, we add value-added packages into that. So we're seeing people return time and time again. And then with our properties on the sort of the resort locations now, that's only growing growing our sort of our footprint and the understanding of our brands. Our brands are becoming more well known internationally based on the fact that we're opening up beach resorts and new source markets are coming into those hotels.
To come back to staycations, 2020 actually staycations was the story of the year as far as tourism was concerned, and really helped the tourism industry last year. You've got Fujairah, you've got Sharjah, you've got Dubai Marina openings. So staycations are very important as part of your strategy. That's something that's here to stay.
Yes, I think so. I think that what's been actually part of a learning experience for many of us who live locally is that we've actually explored further parts of not only Dubai as a city, but also outside Dubai in the other Emirates. So I think that we've all learned that actually there's some really great facilities that we have in the UAE, where traditionally, if you think about it, we all jumped on a plane every time we had a 5-day holiday. We'd probably be somewhere close, but in another country. So we've learned more about the UAE, and I think we've realized, wow, you can go to Fujairah for 3 or 4 days and feel like you're in another country, which I think that has been valuable to us. So us opening a property in Fujairah, I think is exciting for us, because I think that we will be able to have that brand presence there. I think it's going to stay a little bit longer, because I think when people do get 3 or 4 days, are they going to get on a plane rather than staying at home? I think people will stay at home a little bit more. I think people are still a little bit cautious about flying for a short time destination. I think we're starting to evolve to get outside the country, but I think that naturally with borders opening and closing, we're still a little bit cautious on it. So I think that staycation market will continue. I think that the fact that we've learned a lot, our hotels that were traditionally downtown led weren't traditionally hotels that were staycation hotels, but I think that the fact that we can add value into that by our Emaar gift cards, our use of the Burj Khalifa, the Dubai fountains, and being able to offer a city staycation offer with a lot of the entertainment for the children, and as we get into the hot summer months, to be able to have that entertainment value, air conditioned, and being around our hotels has been incredibly important to us. So I do see that will continue for the foreseeable future.
What did coronavirus teach you as a business? Did it accelerate any changes that were happening already? What from that period did you adopt that actually you feel has improved Emaar as a business, improved hospitality as an industry?
Well, first and foremost, when we had the initial pandemic, we started January, February with really incredible occupancies here in the city. We went into March, obviously we saw that pandemic come into place, and then we went into the lockdown. We were probably one of the most progressive companies in terms of locking and closing our hotels down quite quickly. And we did that for probably 3 reasons. We did that, one, to protect the business, because whilst a hotel is operating, it's expensive to operate with lesser occupancies, number one. Number two, we had to protect both our staff and our customers whilst we were still trying to learn from how do we serve something in our hotels? What do we do in terms of our cleaning of our rooms? So to close our hotels down very quickly was very important for 2 reasons, business and safety. And then we took the time. We had one hotel open, which was the Address Downtown, which is our flagship address. We took the time throughout the pandemic to really learn, okay, how do we open up all the touch points? And that really helped us evolve from a health and safety, from a cleaning perspective, from use of face masks and the sanitizers. We got a BOCA certificate. We work with BOCA in terms of our sanitization of our rooms. We were Bureau Veritas certified. We were Dubai Assured Hotel. And we worked with the government on reopening Dubai. A lot of our hotels were featured in most of those videos, which was good, because we had an alignment on really, the most important thing for us was really to work very closely with the government in following regulations to the letter. That was important for the safety of our guests and staff. And then what it did, and the question you asked me was about, what evolved, what sped up in a sense. Digitalization. We all of us got very quickly onto Teams. We all were able to connect a lot more in terms of our social media, in terms of being able to connect with people. But then that also helped us on our journey of looking at the sort of contactless the contactless check-in processes, looking at how you can order a menu in your room, how you can talk to people whilst you're in the hotel. So there were some initial learnings and things we put in place very quickly to make that whole check-in process, the restaurant process, a lot more digitalized and a lot more easy. And then that has fueled us in terms of our journey ahead, in terms of our IT provision. So we're looking at all elements in the hotel now. So I think that's really helped us from a hospitality point of view.
I think that Joni Mitchell once sang, "You don't know what you've got till it's gone." Do you think the enforced lockdown has actually improved appetite for travel? The fact that it was taken away from us, and now we realise what we were missing. Is there a renewed appetite?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, most people have heard that sort of that quotation about revenge tourism. We're all desperate to go somewhere, and I think that, as soon as the UAE really worked closely on making everything very safe here, we were all going to the, Fujairahs, Ras Al Khaimahs, Ajman. We were staying in, I live on the Palm actually, and I was staying in hotels on the Palm because it was actually quite interesting. So actually, it's we're all wanting to go out of our sort of our comfort zones, our areas that we locked ourselves into,
our bubble.
And now we're starting to see people move a little bit more internationally as well. So the hotels that we're opening up internationally, we're going to be working very closely on that thinking forward safety program. Will obviously be consistently put out throughout those hotels. So everything that we did in our hotels in Dubai and we learned from them has gone into our new hotels. So I think that people are going to just want to go to new destinations. There are, we've opened up new hotels, we've offered new products, and I think that people are really going to want to just explore a little bit more. And they're not going to be just hotel stays. So the future is going to be about experience stays. So that, like I talked to you about value adds and doing things with a hotel is going to be so important.
Has the customer expectation changed then, do you think? Like, has their behaviour changed? Are they staying longer? Are they asking for different things, different experiences, such as that?
I think with the pandemic, I think that people have stayed longer in our hotels because they have felt safe. So I talked about the Rove, people staying longer in Rove from a long-term perspective in our Vida hotels. We've seen solid occupancies in our Vida Emirates Hills property because it's it's in the location where it's in. It's done very well from people staying long-term. I think that people are going to want to continue to have hotels that have those safety protocols in place because I think that people have learned and educated around that. We got a lot of great feedback about the fact that we were so diligent on our cutlery being sealed, on our staff wearing face masks. 90% of our staff are now vaccinated, and we recognise that. So all of those touch points and all those things we put in place will want to remain, and we certainly throughout 2021, everything that we did in 2020 continues. We've not stepped anything down. We've continued to say this is what must stay in place. We've learned from it. Let's keep that because that builds confidence, and it builds confidence in anybody coming into our restaurants or into our hotel rooms to stay as well.
You talk about long-term sort of residents and long-term stays. Are you seeing that as an increasing trend? Did people arrive in the UAE and go, do you know what, I'm just going to stay here, I'm going to work remotely? Dubai obviously launched the remote working visa. How much kind of take-up has been on that, where people have just gone, Dubai's safe, it's open, why would I go back elsewhere?
Yeah, absolutely. We're lucky because all of our hotels have residential components anyway. We've actually seen an increase in our residential and service residences business. Right. So, we're seeing pretty solid occupancies in the residences proportion and also hotels. Key hotels that we said, okay, well, let's, focus on longer term stays. We've done that and we've seen, people staying with us because, quite a lot of people can work remotely. We work in hospitality, so we need to be on the floor. It's a bit more difficult to work remotely, but there's a lot of people that do their business online, and I'm talking regularly to guests in our lobbies, and they're regularly saying, look, we moved to the UAE in January. We're actually going to stay for the rest of the year. We've found an apartment here. It works very well for us. So I think that the fact that we are able within the confines of the regulations are able to get back to some sort of normality has meant a great opportunity for a lot of people to stay with us. Yeah.
Now, talking about places that are kind of still in lockdown or just emerging, are you missing the Brits? And what's your view of the red listing of the UAE still from the UK? Because obviously we looked back at December, one of the busiest travel routes in the world, and then the red list came. Yeah. Looking at the figures, looking statistically, the UAE was recently described as the second most pandemic resilient nation in the world. It's about time that the UK government took another look at that.
No, I think the first part of the question, am I missing the Brits? Of course I'm missing the Brits. I'm British as well, so I miss my friends being able to come out, and I miss, seeing the guests that have become, really part of our brands in Dubai. So yeah, absolutely. About 10% of our business is from the UAE, from the UK, sorry. So yes, we're missing the British. We're working very closely. I think the UAE works very closely with all the governments around the world to make sure that when we can open up, we will open up. When we can, we can be on those lists, we will be on those lists. So it's in the hands of people outside my control for sure. But I think that I'm sure that that connection will come at some stage. So it's a difficult question to answer, I suppose. But it's for me, it's yes, we're missing, and they will come when we're ready to come.
So I'll phrase it a different way. If you looked at how, for example, Dubai tourism and the regulations they've put in control, and then how the hospitality industry here has stepped up to that.
Yeah.
Because you guys have had to become almost like air traffic controllers to make sure that your passengers don't bump into each other. When you look at how the industry in a whole has stepped up to the challenge of coronavirus, do you feel it deserves to be on green lists?
I think the answer to that really will be, we have done a lot here in the UAE. I can't tell you exactly what the reasons for not being on that green list are at the current time, so I would not comment on that. I think that we are certainly very ready for any country to come in, honestly. I think that we've done a huge amount of work here. I think the fact that the government and the frontliners and also the public and private sector working together so closely here and wanting to work closely together, say, look, aren't we all proud of how we've done this, has been incredible. So I think that, are we ready? Absolutely, of course we're ready. And it has to, we have to wait for that green light to come, and I'm sure it'll come.
So looking ahead at Q3 and Q4 for the rest of this year, what kind of appetite, what kind of pent-up demand are you seeing? And how are you preparing to harness that? Are you in recruitment mode? Are you going to be recruiting more throughout the course of the year?
Yeah.
How many extra jobs do you think you're going to be taking on?
Yeah. We saw quarter one, and you've seen that probably in recent interviews that we've done. Quarter one was extremely positive for us. It exceeded our expectations, both in occupancy and in rate. We see that guests are enjoying the quality and the value of our hotels. So quarter one was very solid. Quarter two is similar. So I think that we're going to close half the year certainly in a very good place, above expectations. Quarter three, we're working very closely with the Dubai government, DTCM, obviously, to make sure that we welcome people back into the city, which is what we've all been proud to do. A little bit like putting an event on here. We're stepping and making sure that we can get things done. And I think welcoming families to the city as certain countries open up, as the green light comes from certain countries to open back up, that we'll be ready for that. So we have to wait to see how quarter three goes. The fact that KSA opens up today and that we've got some solid business on the books is a reassuring, and I do think potentially July and August will be great. And then we lead into quarter four, and quarter four has got Expo. We're the hospitality partner for Expo, so we're very proud to be able to work with Expo to be able to bring more visitor numbers into the city. There's also the Jubilee, obviously, this year, so that's exciting. That's just something that we're always a very patriotic nation on celebrating successes and milestones here. So I do think that quarter four can be potentially a very good end of the year. So in that sense, I think that we're just going to have to wait and see how quarter three goes. Be a little bit careful in the summer months just to see how markets move, and like you said, with the UK being on the red list at the moment, and when will that move, and how much will KSA move with us? So I think we're just going to explore a little bit more as we move forward. And then as we move towards Expo, of course, yes, we're naturally going to be recruiting for Expo, because being a hospitality partner, we're very fortunate because we have the one hotel in Expo that belongs to us. That's the Rove. Expo 2020 project that we've got there, an incredible hotel right outside the Al Wasl Plaza. We've also got the hospitality tower. The Emaar Hospitality Tower is there, where we'll be looking after VIP guests and anybody wanting to be part of that sort of fast-paced and VIP entry tickets, labeling them to come and use the facilities of the hospitality tower as well. So we're very much in the heart of Expo, and we've got, we're recruiting in for those two projects particularly. And then with the pipeline of projects that we have, of course, yes, we need key experienced professionals to come and be part of our group hotels.
Last question, and this is the one where I get you to do my job. What's the one question that no one's asking you that they should be asking you, and you wish that they would ask you?
Oh, really? Have you thought about that? I'm looking at her now. People are asking us lots of questions. That's the great thing.
Right.
People are asking us, when are you opening? What hotels are you opening? How are your hotels doing? I think as we've all been very inquisitive, I think we're all asking each other a lot more. I think we're learning a lot from each other a lot more. So there is no question that I've never not answered it or answered anybody. I think, have you stayed at our hotels, for example? I think is an important one. Have you been to our Dress Beach property and stayed there and been on the 77th floor, which is our latest hotel? Have you been there?
I have, yeah.
What did you think?
The view. Amazing.
It's quite incredible.
He's pretty amazing.
It's quite jaw-dropping when you stand on the edge and you look and you see, wow, this is quite impressive. And we're getting a lot of feedback about that property, which is great. And Skyview as well, with the infinity pool that looks into downtown. So if you haven't, probably the question is, have you stayed at our properties? And if you haven't, then you should be, because we're very excited about the hotels that we're opening.
So I'm a bit like Columbo, if you remember him. He says, just one more question. You are surrounded here by many of your peers from the industry, some fine brands out there. What's Emaar's distinction? What separates you from your peers at this?
Yeah, we've got incredible hotels here today, and everybody's out being part of the Arabian travel market. I think for us, we have always been very, very focused on really the core values for us. Number one, having the key talent, really recognizing talent within is incredibly important, because then when you take care of your teams and you grow your teams with you, and with our hotels that are opening, there are opportunities for everybody who's working within. So I think that there is some great growth. Look at my opportunity. I moved into head of hospitality at the beginning of this year, after being an area general manager for the address. So the opportunities to grow within the group not only at my level, but obviously on the floor with the ambassadors as well. There's so much opportunities coming with our hotels. So number one is really looking after our teams, looking after our customers, incredibly important, and that's the most forefronted experience. And that's why getting our hotels open with the Thinking Forward program and touch points and really making sure people felt safe was incredibly important to us. And then building our brand with very key assets is incredibly important to us, because we want people to have very solid brand stays with us. They want to recognize the brand. This brand is homegrown. It's grown up within the UAE, and we're very proud about that. So we're not a hotel that expands, hotel company that expands with multiple hotels. We're growing organically, and we're growing the right hotel brands organically, and making sure that those brands are protected, because that's really important to us. So it's all about our teams, our customers, and our brands.
Mark, thank you very much for your time.
You're welcome. Thank you for your questions.